Well, continuing with our profile of fresh faces in the world of politics, we go now to Texas's 16th district. It's right on the border where the cities of El Paso, Texas, and Ciudad Juarez in Mexico stand back to back. Our candidate running to represent that district in the U.S. Congress is familiar with both sides of that border. Joining me now is Republican candidate Irene Armendariz-Jackson. Welcome, Irene. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Your family is from Mexico, and if I'm not mistaken, they're from Ciudad Juarez, correct?
My mom is from Ciudad Juarez. My dad is from central Mexico, Torreón, Coahuila.
Oh, wow. And why did they move to the United States?
Well, the story goes that even though my brother and my sister and myself were born here, they lived in Juarez till I was a year and a half old. And my dad came home one day from work. He was a trash collector at Fort Bliss. And we were hiding under the covers because we had lost the gas in our home, because that's what happens in Mexico even to this day. Wow. And my dad said, "What are we doing here? We will have a better life in the United States." They already had legal residency, so they picked up and they moved to El Paso, and we've been here since then.
You know, ironically, there are people in the Northeast who are already doing the same thing that your folks were doing, or that you were doing in Ciudad Juarez in Mexico, because we're having fuel shortages here because of the administration's policies. We can get into that in a second, but then you came here, you grew up here, you had the American dream, and your family didn't believe in handouts either, by the way. They believed in pulling themselves up by the bootstraps, right?
Absolutely. Like I said before, my dad was a trash collector in Fort Bliss, and he realized one day that it wasn't enough. What he was making was not enough to put food on the table and give his children a good life. So he learned the trade of drywall, and he would hung drywall for the rest of his career until he got hurt in the job. But he was a very hard worker. And this is why I am so against illegal immigration, because my dad would work tirelessly, and then illegals would come from across the border and they would underbid the jobs. So my dad would have to leave for months at a time in order to provide a good life for his family. And I didn't see one single Democrat advocating for the separation of my family like they are now with all the illegals. And that's why illegal immigration is something that is very dear to my heart, and I'm 100% against it.
Well, there's another thing that made it near and dear to your heart, is that you fell in love with a Border Patrol agent. Your husband's a Navy vet, but he's also been a Border Patrol agent for 25 years. How has that influenced your perception of what's happening at the border right now?
Well, one of the things that we learned as a family when I got married to my husband is that we saw the humanity of the Border Patrol agents. And even though my husband is white, the majority of the Border Patrol agents are actually minorities. And to see the humanities, the human side of them, gave us a new perspective, because growing up on the border, you would always hear the jokes of "Ahí viene la migra," and that meant something bad, like the Border Patrol was going to come and deport us all. And so that's the message that has been in El Paso and the entire border for decades, is that the Border Patrol are the enemy. So to be able to see the human side of them and know that my husband is a God-fearing, not only husband, but father, and now we have grandchildren. We have 4 and another one on the way.
Congrats.
It's totally different. And of course, everybody that surrounds us learned that same lesson. Yeah. And the Border Patrol are here to protect America and Americans, especially border Americans first.
But it's getting harder to do, particularly as the border is wide open. You're getting no help from the federal government in that regard. But you also have the situation in Mexico getting more and more dangerous, where these cartels are taking over. I mean, I would argue that there are places like Ciudad Juarez that in some cases are being taken over by the cartel. How is that spilling over into our border, into our country?
Well, we see the rise in crime here in El Paso. I was just talking to one of my supporters, and there was a shooting that it was her daughter and her 8-year-old grandson in the back seat, and an irate driver, and apparently they had plates from Mexico, shot at their car, and with her 8-year-old grandson in the back. There was a death, I think it was last week or the week before, where a man was found on the side of the road. He had been shot on the freeway on I-10, and he just pulled over, and then they found him dead. And there's been several. My right-hand lady, her mom's house was actually shot at a couple of nights ago. This never happened in El Paso. All of a sudden, we're seeing a rise in crime, but of course, the Democrats are the deniers of it all. Of course, they deny that we even have a border crisis, and the incumbent actually said that all the crimes are being committed by American citizens. And yet the media won't report on that.
Wow. Irene, I have to go, but I just have to ask, how many Latin Americans, I, by the way, happen to marry a woman from Central America, so I'm tied into the community as well, but how many Latin Americans do you think in your community feel the way you do? I mean, obviously, that's not the only people who are going to be voting in this election for you or for your opponent, but how many Latin Americans believe as you do?
I think we're not at 100% because, of course, we have a demographic that has been brainwashed by people like Beto O'Rourke. This is his hometown. But the majority of the people, as we're knocking on people's doors, they say themselves, I'm tired of it. I process legally just like my parents, and we don't want anybody to just come in. It's not fair. And they see it, and the media cannot hide it. Yeah. The truth is we're going to win it tonight, and there is a red wave coming, and over 60 years of Democrat control will end today, and we will retire not only the incumbent, but Beto O'Rourke in his hometown. All
right. Well, we have to go. I wish we had more time. I wanted to talk about the economy, too, because you're a small businesswoman, but we have run out of time. Irene Armendariz-Jackson, good luck to you. I know you're very busy. Thank you for taking time out to talk to us. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. God bless you, America, and help is on the way.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you being here.